Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce Gary Barnes. He's the Breakthrough Business Mastery Coach. He's a high-performance business and sales coach, popular international speaker, and award-winning #1 international Amazon best-selling author of 6 books. What? Gary's clients span over 7 countries, and he's been featured on ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and PBS. Also TEDx and Oprah. He's a founder of Gary Barnes International. He's created 3 successful businesses from the ground up, and he developed principles and tools to help him increase his production by 1,800%. Actually, 3,000% plus over a 4-year period. He's been married 40 years. He has 2 adult sons. He has adult sons. He has completed a world-class 40-foot firewalk, flown a World War II P-51 fighter, flown on a trapeze, driven in a destruction derby. His car was called the Purple Passion. He's completed a 75-foot bungee jump and climbed 14-foot mountains. He's a drummer and a police academy graduate. He also understands dealing with adversity. He's fought a life-threatening illness and won, and continues to win every day. He believes that your worst day is the day that you meet the man or woman that you could have been. It's called choice. And I want to add that I consider Gary Barnes a hero. Help me welcome Gary Barnes.
Wow. That is the first time that I've ever been called a hero. Thank you.
Absolutely.
You know, every time I hear that introduction, even though I wrote it, every time I think about those words, I think I'm confused. You know, what I'm going to be when I grow up. But Jackie, thank you so much for the invitation to come up, and the management team here, the referral group. You guys all were ready. I love how you guys have gone around to let me know who you are. So, as we start this morning, I want to show you a very short video.
Dismissed from drama school with a note that read, "Wasting her time, she's too shy to put her best foot forward." Turned down by the Decca recording company who said, "We don't like their sound and guitar music is on the way out." A failed soldier, farmer, and real estate agent, at 38 years old, he went to work for his father as a handyman. Cut from the high school basketball team, he went home, locked himself in his room, and cried. A teacher told him he was too stupid to learn anything, and he should go into a field where he might succeed by virtue of his pleasant personality. Fired from a newspaper because he lacked imagination and had no original ideas. His fiancée died, he failed in business twice, he had a nervous breakdown, and he was defeated in 8 elections. If you've never failed, you've never lived.
This one out. My youngest son is a graphic designer and a photographer, and he built that for me. So I always honor him when I speak with that graphic. A number of years ago, I was walking along, and all of a sudden I heard a voice from above. And I don't know about you, but my voice from above is always none other than that of James Earl Jones. And James Earl Jones came to me and he said, "Are you a participant or are you a spectator?" Now, when I was 20 years old, I knew all of the, okay, here's a rule that we're going to use for the next 30 or so minutes. As a professional speaker, silence is not good. So when I ask a question, I've heard you respond to each other, so please respond back to me. So when I was 20 years old, I knew all of the answers. But as I've grown older, notice I didn't say old. And as I've grown older, I've come to appreciate questions that lead me to an answer, that lead me to a better question. And so even with James Earl Jones asking me that really good question, I started to ignore it, but he came to me a second time. And he said, are you a participant or are you a spectator? It's your choice. At that moment, actually, I wasn't walking along. I woke up, it was an actual dream I had about 15 years ago. I had built a lifestyle for my family. I had built this international firm, and I thought that I was living the American dream. And what I realized is that I was still a spectator. But I had a choice, and that was the neat thing about what James Earl Jones came to me with, is it was totally okay to continue to be a spectator, or I had a chance to live the destiny that I was meant to live. I am standing here before you because of that dream. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. I woke up in a cold sweat. I was never the same. Again, so let me ask you a question. What does it take to transfer from being a spectator to being a participant?
Decision.
Decision, that's part of it. What else?
Action.
Action, what kind of action? Who said that?
I do.
Oh, so what kind of action?
Effective.
Effective. Okay.
Deliberate.
Pardon?
Inspired.
Inspired. So let me give you a scenario. You know, you guys love the buffs up here, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is buff country. So you have a team of, how many guys are on the buff football team?
16.
16, no, football.
Football, yeah.
Basketball
Stan
season's
moved on to basketball.
See, I played all the sports in high school, but this is my jump.
Yeah.
So I played football. But how many guys are on the football team?
Roughly 100.
Around 100. How many guys are on the field at any one time?
11.
11. So who are the spectators on the team?
89 plus coaches.
Yeah, those where?
Sidelines.
On the sidelines.
Yeah.
But they're still on the team,
Yeah.
but they're not in the game. So literally, it takes one step. It's a decision, but it's a decision to take that one step onto the field. How many of us are still on the sidelines thinking that just because we're on the team, that it's going to make a difference in our businesses, in our lives, and in our families' lives? And so one of the things that I want to do real quick here is you got a little bit of an idea of who I am and some of the things, crazy things that I do. My wife, I think, and I got to fix that. We've been married 41 years now. And, but she married me when I was 10. I always told her she brought the credit. She is a couple of years older than I am, but that's okay. But I have a friend that says that no one will really hear you until they know you. And I've really been a serial entrepreneur from the very beginning. And like many of you, I started very young. No, I didn't get the reaction that I wanted, so here it is. Oh, thank you. See, sometimes you just need a few extra props. But my early background was psychology and theology. My dad owned service stations, and I always was in that entrepreneurial spirit. But my forte, I thought, was going to go into the ministry. Very quickly, I found myself in a square peg in a round hole because I asked way too many questions. Yeah, most churches don't like you asking questions because that has a tendency to unravel things, and I love unraveling things. I'm one of those guys that can take apart anything. Putting it back together can be a challenge. I always have parts left over, so I just figured it's for the new project, whenever you're going to come back. So I left the theology and psychology background, and the obvious choice then was to go into real estate. And I did. It was 1976, February 1976, went into real estate. And for the next 10 months, I did all of the things that all of the people told me to do. There was a realtor. Where's, right there. You know, you get up, you farm, you work 7 days a week, right? You're always on when everybody's off. I mean, you did all those things. At the end of that year, I went to my wife. I had done my calculation, and I went to her on New Year's Eve. And I said, honey, I just did the numbers, and I made $1,975 this year. And she looked at me with those beautiful brown eyes and said, that's gross. And all of a sudden, I looked I went, you're absolutely right, we have to take our expenses out of that. And she looked at me again and she said, would you please go get a real job? And I looked back at her and I said, honey, I have a real job, will you trust me? And that's a sign of true love. When somebody looks at $1,975 minus expenses and says, yes, and she did. The next year, this is again, remember 1976. Some of you were not even here, or you were very young. But 1976, we were in kind of a crisis. Do you remember what was going on in 1976?
Gas prices were,
Inflation, what else was going on?
we had the gas,
We were
5
just
miles
coming out
an
with
hour.
the oil embargo. So there was high inflation. It was, if you had an interest-bearing account, you were happy. It was 19+% on a savings account. But if you were paying at the pump, if you were doing anything else, real estate, here I am, I'm excited about real estate. What was interest rates in 1976, 1977?
22
Prime was 22.
18.
and a half.
It was
Prime
prime
was
plus
22.
2 was the largest loan I ever closed,
Yeah.
21%. Back then, there was also something called points. A point was a percent. And for the largest loan that I closed back then, it was 21% plus 10 points. The first year cost of that loan was 31%. And I still closed over $5 million worth of properties, where the average price of the property was over, or just under $30,000. Was it a good economy or a bad economy? It was actually a really good economy because nobody else wanted to work. But the thing is, then we started seeing, and this was in Southern California, and I started seeing Orange County wanting to move to Riverside County, where I was. And people were buying real estate because real estate was appreciating then at $1,000 a week. And I looked at that and I went, this is nuts. It's not going to stay this way. And I created one of the very first financial planning firms in the country. It was so early in the agenda of the industry that I would tell people I was an estate planner, and they would go, great, where do I plant this tree? Back then, we had stockbrokers, commodity brokers, real estate agents. We were the first ones to incorporate it all under one banner. Over the next 33 years, I built that program into the top 3% in the United States, in production, where I was a sole producer. Would you like to know some of the things that I did to do that? Because I took it from that 1,975 to over $850,000 in income to me in those 4 years. These are not secrets, really. It's before us. It's just putting the things, see, we want to know and work hard, but it's all actually working right. Doing things, we can go through that wall and probably get through it in maybe 10, 15 years if I go through the wall, but if I just take 14 steps over to the door, I'm going to get through to my objective much quicker. And that's one of the things that I'm going to share with you today. So, the important things for all of us are different in this room. But for me, this is what's important for me. It's my family. And when I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, that was the thing I was missing. Because I had developed a lifestyle that they were enjoying that I was producing, but I was not with them. And that's the thing that has changed in my life today, even though I still do a lot of travel. So, I want to give you 3 simple steps. And then on the 3rd step, I want to give you the 3 secrets for any business to be successful in any economy. So the first thing is embrace empowering beliefs. What do I mean by empowering beliefs? Aren't all beliefs empowering?
Believe in your strengths.
Pardon?
Believe in your strengths.
Strength, okay, what else?
Positive beliefs.
Excuse me?
Positive, being positive.
Being positive. So in that economy that I found myself in, when I started in the real estate industry, the belief for many people was it was a bad economy. 21% interest, 10 points. Was it a bad economy? See, I started looking at all economies as being challenging. So a challenging economy is normal. So it's not good or bad. It's just what do I have to deal with and adjust to it to get a result that I want. One of the things that I have found over the years, my clients have started calling some of the phrases that I use Garyisms. And here's one of them. Facts are stories until they become beliefs. Facts are stories until they become beliefs. A number of years ago, it was a fact that the earth was flat. Wasn't. It wasn't in our minds. About 30 years ago, the smallest thing in the universe was what? About 30 years ago, what was the smallest thing in the universe?
Atom.
Actually, it was a cell. And then inside the cell, we saw the atom. Inside the atom, we had the neutron, proton, and electron. By the way, where did those names come from? They're made up. Everything is made up. We just agree on what it means. So then what happened? What was beyond that? Quarks. Thank you. Who said that? Really? Quarks. Then what is beyond quarks?
Positrons, neutrinos.
Oh, God.
Actually, it's
Are we in science class?
string theory.
Oh, string theory.
And underneath string theory is what? Superstring theory. The key word there is theory. It's all made up. So one of the things that I have incorporated in my life is, and this is going to be important for each and every one of you today, is the belief around the word try. I really believe that there is no such word as try. In many languages, try is not even a part of their language. The Aboriginals in Australia, they don't even have a translation for that English word. So if we could have a no-try zone, and I really have embraced that. So where does the wisdom of no-try come from? Any idea?
Yoda.
Yoda!
Yeah.
Financial planners and realtors. Okay, I got my corners here. Yoda, what did Yoda say?
There is no try.
There is
Only
no
do
try.
or don't.
Do or do not. So how many of you believe there is no such thing as try? About half the room. So, let me ask you another question. You're going to throw a dinner party over the weekend on Saturday evening, and you go up to your best friend and you go, hey Chuck, I would love to have you come over and enjoy the meal with us. We're having a party. Will you come? And Chuck says, I'll try to be there. Do you expect him to come?
No.
Oh, well, but he's going to try. Come on, he's going to try. People over the last 15, 20 years that I have been teaching this principle have been arguing with me, and my dry cleaners, every time I go in, they go, how about this? This will work. And usually it's just a fancy try. And so what happens, though, is that we don't understand the model. And so I created one. There wasn't one out there. And so here it is we make a decision. And then when we make that decision, we put action to it. Isn't that pretty common? We all make a decision, then we put action to it. Now here's the rub. When we put action to it, we get a result. Now when we get the result that we don't want, what do we normally say? Well, I gave it the good old college.
Try. Yeah.
No, you did it. It just didn't give you the result that you wanted. It's always been talked about with Edison and the light bulb. Did he fail 9,999 times?
Yes.
No, well, he did, but he
But he kept
succeeded.
going.
Actually, his words were, I succeeded at what doesn't work. I eliminated the possibilities. I don't have to repeat that. People have asked me about, the analogy of the needle in the haystack. A lot of times we're looking for that needle in the haystack called a client, right? So what are there more of out there than the clients? Non-clients. So the needle in the haystack, what is the fastest way to find the needle in the haystack?
Eliminate the non-clients.
Eliminate what?
The non-clients.
Yeah, eliminate the non-clients. So eliminate the hay. If you eliminate the hay, what you're left with? The needle. Most of the time we have our focus on the wrong thing. So when somebody tells me no, I thank them. Because right now, my belief is my most valuable asset and why I take this privilege of being in front of you so seriously is your most valuable asset as well is time. The time that you spend, you can never get back. And so when somebody tells me no, I'm able then to deal with someone else that is a possible yes. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But the result, at the point you get the result, that's just a new point of decision. That's all it is. Create a vivid vision. What does vision mean to you?
Anticipating the future?
Okay, really good. My definition is going into your future and making it so real that you can see it, taste it, and feel it, and then bringing it back to the present day. So let me ask you, in your dreams, in your visioning, are you dreaming in black and white or color? Is your vision so vivid that when you get there, you've created your own personal deja vu? You've already been there before. It's a choice. Are we doing it in black and white or color? And black and white's fine, if that's what you want. But the option is, I could have had a V8. There was another option that was out there. See, creating a vivid vision can also have a very personal, dynamic, dramatic impact on us personally. 1988 was a very good year. It was a year of the Olympics. Gasoline prices, I mean, we're starting to get back down there again, but they were about $1 a gallon. I mean, the economy was booming, but it was one of the most challenging and life-changing years of my life. Let me take you back just for a second. It was just before Thanksgiving, 1988. We had one of those really early snows that we just had that was, that wet, heavy stuff. And about the third shovelful I put over my shoulder, I had a sharp pain in my right hand. Well, long story short, that pain subsided, but it was replaced by a numbness. That numbness went up this shoulder or this arm across my chest, down this arm, and I went completely numb from my neck down. Now, do you think I told anybody? Nope. I knew exactly what was happening. I would be fine the next day. Got up the next day, everything was not fine. My wife got me into the doctor, and the doctor looked at me just for a couple of minutes, and he said, "I'm so sorry, Gary, there is nothing I'm going to be able to do for you. You're going to see the man upstairs." And I said, "Doc, aren't you going to be able to do it? There's got to be an option." He goes, "Oh, no, I'm so sorry. You're going to go see the neurologist on the second floor." I went to see the neurologist. Neurologists are known for one thing. What is that? They poke you. They love poking you. And he looked at me for a couple of minutes and he said, "Gary, there's a brand new test. I'm going to get it." I go, "Doc, all due respect, it's a holiday. Can't we do this after?" And he goes, "No," leaves, comes back and says, "I got you an appointment." I said, "Again, can't we do this after the holidays?" And he goes, "No." And he said it with such force. I said, "What are you looking for?" And he said, "You have two choices. You either have cancer, a brain tumor, or multiple sclerosis." And I looked at him and I said, "Could I have door number 4? And Doctor, I gave him that news. And it's just one of those things. And he said 4 famous words that we've all heard: "Don't worry about it. Go enjoy the holidays." And I did. The test results came back, and he called Sunday evening back into his office Monday morning. And he took an hour to tell me everything that it wasn't. And at that moment, I just said, "Doc, I can take it. What did you find?" And he said, "Well, you still have 3 choices. You have MS, or MS." And I looked at him and I said, "Fantastic, what do we do?" I felt like he had given me a life sentence. And he said, "You don't understand. There's nothing you're able to do." 1988. He says, "Go home, enjoy your family. You will be dead or in a wheelchair within 10 years. I didn't like that option. I didn't have time for that bump in the road. And so I went home and I started thinking about what could I visualize, what could I see in my future that would change that prognosis, that belief that the doctor had. I knew about Norman Cousins where he had put himself into remission with laughter. He loved the slapstick humor. I knew about in the day where you had the old video game Pac-Man, where they used the Pac-Man the image to eat up the cancer cells. But what happened for me is those didn't really fit. So I was laying in bed one night, and all of a sudden an image of a beaver shows up. I went, a beaver? And he came over, turned around, took his tail, and started patching up the myelin sheath, the coating around the nerves that dissolve with the diagnosis of MS. And I was like, man, that's pretty good. So over the next course of the next few weeks, I designed a full army of beavers working 3 shifts. I had workmen, payroll offices, all kinds of, I mean, they were working around the clock just to patch up me. I also felt like I needed to take care of them, so I created schools and parks and rec centers and all this stuff to take care of them. And over the next few months, I started getting a little more feelings back in my legs and in my hands. We were talking earlier about falling down. I've fallen off 3 stages. And I coined early on with the diagnosis. By the way, I've never owned the illness. I've never said I had something. I've always said I was diagnosed with, which means it was someone else's opinion. The brain does not know truth from error. If it says, this is a bad economy, I'm broke, I'm poor. Poor and broke are sometimes interchanged. Broke is a state point in time. Poor is a state of mind. So I started getting the feelings back. 5 years later, I had a underwriter call me and said, Gary, you don't act normal. And I go, I've been told that a lot. And he said, no, someone with the diagnosis of MS, would you have a second MRI? I did, and what it showed was 95% of the lesions were no longer on my brain. The scar tissue was no longer there. Actually, that is something that has created quite a stir, and it had catapulted, because I didn't tell anybody for over 20 years that I was diagnosed with MS. Because financial planners, you don't want to give money to people that are going to die. You know, it's just something you don't do. So I sold the practice about 7, 8 years ago. And after that, I wrote the first book, and it's called How a Beaver Saved My Life. How a Beaver Saved My Life. And I created it not as an MS book, but as an adversity book. It's a book that actually takes anybody through whatever adversity principles that I use are applicable for them. But the thing is that making that vivid vision literally saved my life. I created my own destiny. And I don't say this is a magic pill or a magic button. I still have very little feelings in my hands. My wife buttoned my shirts this morning. When I travel, I have the hotel staff do it. When I go to hotels that they know me, they start arguing who's going to help me. So I get adopted. They're pretty cool. It's always the ladies, too. So, number 3, and these are the secrets. I'm going to give the secrets to you really quick. The first one is to be seen. Launch and adjust. Launch and adjust is, you got to take steps. You got to leave your comfort zone in order to get a different result. But what do you think I mean by being seen?
Make yourself noticeable.
Noticeable. What is the thing that you guys did this morning that made you noticeable to the room?
30-second introduction.
Your 30-second introductions. Now I'm going to give you something very quick that I don't have time to go really deep in, but I'm going to give you a suggestion. I'm a student of advertising, and I watch companies that are much bigger, that have much bigger budgets than I do, and how they advertise. And I started formulating the idea, or capturing this idea, that companies use 3 words, maybe 4, to describe who they are. What are the 3 words for Nike?
Just do it.
Just do it. What about Nissan? It's enjoy the ride. Coke.
Things go better.
Coke, the real thing. Pepsi. Boy, I can see they need to do some work. Pepsi is the new generation. What about McDonald's? McDonald's is the schizophrenic company out there. It was 18 months. I'm loving it. It's the place under the golden. I mean, it's just like, come on, guys, you know, come up with something. But do any of those words describe or tell you what that company does?
No.
No. There's a reason, I now call this the 3 magic words. The forgiveness guy did it this morning. See, the suggestion I'd have for you is drop the boulder. I'm the forgiveness guy. You can go anywhere in the world, can't you? Now, when you're here, you might use that. But I'm the forgiveness guy. What does that create in your mind?
A picture?
A picture? But doesn't it cause you to question, well, what is that? Or how do you do it? When you tell somebody you're an attorney, you're a realtor, you're a financial planner, all of a sudden we get put into a box of what that person thinks we are by their past experience as a chiropractor. We have done ourselves a disservice because we've lumped ourselves where people think they know what we do or how we do it, when in reality they don't know us at all. So what I would suggest is that you come up with 3 magic words for yourself in describing that. Now in this room it's a little bit different, but if you're just out in a new group, what is it? I have used the No Try Guy in America's Traction Coach for years, and it works. A client of mine came to me and she said, Gary, I'm struggling in my career. I go, what is it? She goes, I sell prepaid funeral plans. And she was like 27 years old. I go, well, what do you say when you're asked, what do you do? She said, I sell prepaid funeral plans. I said, well, what do people do? She goes, they run away. I go, okay, would you be open to some alternative words? And she said yes. And the words that I came up with was, she's the afterlife concierge. She's the afterlife concierge. She's got so excited, she created a business card that was a toe tag. And on the toe tag, we changed the name of deceased to the name of VIP. She would go to networking events, and people would go, she'd go, I'm the afterlife concierge. She'd go, you're the lady with the toe tag business cards. Could we have 3 of them? When was the last time somebody asked you for multiple business cards? She went from the bottom of the company to #1 nationally with the largest funeral company in the United States in 6 months, and that's the only thing she did. She had the ability then to tell her story because people were now curious about what she, and who she was. The forgiveness guy. I love that. So, be safe. What do you think that means?
Don't offend anybody.
Don't offend anybody. It's about communication. Most of the time, we are asking questions in language that the other person does not even understand. We communicate and relate to the world in 3 ways: auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. If you are a visual, you're likely to ask questions in a visual sense. What does that look like to you? And if somebody is an auditory, they will not be able to answer you. So listening to that other person, if we had more time, I'd bring somebody up and actually show you what I'm talking about here. By listening to what their words are, because you have them ask or tell you about them first, if at all possible. Because the languaging they use, if you're truly listening to them, will tell you if they're auditory, visual, or kinesthetic. And when you use their language, they'll know how to respond. So being safe is being relatable, being understood, and having also no agenda. At the end of today, I actually do have an announcement about a boot camp I'm doing, but I have no agenda except one whenever I speak, whenever I'm with somebody, is to make a difference in at least one life that I'm in front of. Whether I'm in front of one, my largest audience has been over 14,000. It doesn't matter. My goal is always the same, at least one life do I touch. So that's the agenda. I go in being safe. I'm not there to convince, cajole, to manipulate them into saying, yes, press hard 3 copies. It's about them and their pain and their desires. The third one is be relevant. That's probably one of the most easy. I don't care if you're selling toothpicks. Toothpicks are still relevant. It's important to someone. If you don't have a relevant company, a product, a service, find a new service, a new product. So, I think I'm right at the end of time. Real quick, I wanted to, and we're going to do some Q&A. I produced 2 3-day boot camps now. I used to do 3 here in Denver. The next one's in January. It's right between the playoffs and the Super Bowl. So I positioned right in the middle here. We're at the, yeah, go ahead and pass those out. At the Marriott out by the airport. This would be my 29th boot camp that I've produced. And they're very practical. It's the things, what I've done in 30 minutes, we now expand into 3 days. How many of you have a book inside of you?
But what?
A book. How many of you want to write a book? How many of you have written a book? I tell you what, I don't care what industry you're in, you need to have a book. The elevate and separate element is phenomenal when you write a book. You become an automatic celebrity, an automatic authority. I was on an airplane coming back from Daytona Beach for an engagement, and there was 2 women on the plane. It was a 7 o'clock, flight. Nobody's happy at 7 o'clock in the morning on an airplane. But they were asking about me, and it came out that I was an author, and they go, "You're an author?" And they already heard that I was a speaker in a business, all that, but it was an author. "You're an author?" And I go, "Yeah." And they go, "Are you famous?" Now, I gotta admit, my initial response was going to be, "Nah, no big deal." But what came out was, "Well, some people think so." And the woman went down into her handbag, pulled out a camera with a lens that long, and she goes, "Can I take your picture just in case?" A book has taken me to all of the major networks, and actually, this book is what brought me on the TED. The TED stage was this book. It has everything and nothing to do at the same time with what I do, but it's a part of my story. Remember this. People remember stories, they forget facts. People remember stories, they forget facts. So one of the things we do, I have a woman that comes in, Tanya Warren. She is the third ranked highest infomercial host in the nation. But she has a publishing company, and she teaches people how to get all of this out. Then how many of you speak for your company? You do talks and whatever? If you don't, you need to, because the moment you take a stage, you're endorsed. You have a celebrity, but there's also a way, and I believe the 3rd best, in the top 3 anyway, speaker coaches that comes in and also contributes to the boot camp. But real quick.
Hello, I'm Tanya Waring with TanyaWaring.com here at the Maximize Your Business Now conference with Gary Barnes International. This boot camp is phenomenal. Whether you are a seasoned business owner or you're just getting started, there's something for everyone. Gary has years of experience, great speakers, and already today I've had 5 aha about how to improve my business through communication. I highly encourage you to attend the next boot camp.
I gotta do something with the buffer. I've not figured that out. I'm technologically impaired and proud of it. I just have people around me that know what to do, so it's broke. And then we'll just do one more.
Hi, my name is Neil Quimby, and I just attended the Gary Barnes boot camp. Fabulous, fantastic, you gotta get involved. If you're finding yourself in a rut and don't know what to do and don't know where to go, you want to get in the game, Gary Barnes is the answer. Get signed up for the next boot camp, it's phenomenal. Thank you, Gary.